Hello, everyone. Welcome to One Rope Short of a Ring, an AEW podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Josh. I'm here with the boy himself, Luke.
The man himself, the living legend,
Oh, let's
winner
not...
of predictions this week.
Oh, all right. Look, let's not get fucking ahead of ourselves. All right.
I want a belt, maybe a medal, right? I can get some champagne we can spray around.
A little bit, just a little bit of champagne.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Anyway, yeah, let's just get into it. This is our Full Gear review sum up kind of show, right?
Yes, it is indeed. What did you think?
Yeah, Jesus, man, this was really, really good. This is one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a long old time, to be fair.
I think it's probably my favourite wrestling pay-per-view in 5-6 years. And that's only really because anything before that, it's kind of a blur.
Yeah, true. That's probably
no, it's absolutely great. There's maybe one match that I was a little bit less than enthusiastic about, but that wasn't even a bad match. I just wasn't quite as into it, right? Yeah. Do you want to work through these? Should we go have a quick little chat about each of them, and we'll?
Yeah, let's just go through chronologically because obviously on our last podcast as well, we tried to guess some sort of match order, right?
Yeah, we were wrong.
I think we were super wrong about a lot of it.
I was pretty right about one of my predictions specifically. I'm super proud of, but the match order we were totally wrong. Yeah, I remember at the end of the last one, we were like, obviously Cody and that's going on last, right? Clearly, we don't need to worry about that one. Nah, dude.
Nah, right. So first match. Oh, just a heads up as well. We didn't actually. Well, we're not looking at the pre-show on this podcast, which was, I think, the only match on it, apart from some promos, was the B Priestley Britt Baker match.
Correct. Yeah, and Awesome Kong came out and cut off a bit of, I think it was B Priestley's hair.
It was, yeah, B Priestley's
with a karambit.
Yeah, with. I just called it a weirdo knife. Like, I don't know.
I think it was a karambit. Like, it's a scary knife. It's not even just a knife. It's like a special forces killer knife sort of thing.
Jesus.
It's weird. But hey,
anyway, yeah. Match one on the main card was the Young Bucks versus Santana Ortiz, or Proud and Powerful, as they're now known.
Were we just being stupid? Were they always called Proud and Powerful?
No, I actually looked into this. It came up in their promo in the pre-show.
Okay, all right.
There was a Santana Ortiz promo, and they're like, "Hey man, we're just doing what we do, and we're being ourselves, and we're proud and powerful." Sure. And then roll credits, like they said the thing. Right?
That makes me feel a little bit better then. Like, I didn't just completely miss it, right? For like 5 weeks, we just been calling them Santana and Ortiz. They've actually had a name.
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I looked it up, because I'm like, am I just an idiot? Like, am I just not paying attention to this at all?
Well, no, that was one thing that was very immediately apparent, by the way, was the ramp design, right?
It was kind of weird.
Went right up to the ring.
We'll get into it later. But the ramp, basically, so whereas other wrestling promotions, have this. So you have like the entranceway where the Titantron is, all the fireworks and the ramp and stuff. In WWE, just say it by name, you've got a ramp that comes down, and then you descend to the level where the ring is, and then you've got another bit of floor, and then you get the ring, which is elevated from the rest, right?
Yeah.
Is that an adequate description of it?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But this one, the ramp, the heightened part of the ramp extends all the way to the ring. There's
I might be going. This might be like blurry memories from my childhood. I seem to remember WCW having this ring design at some point for some pay-per-view or something, but I haven't seen it in a long time. And it does come into play later on. I don't know if it makes a certain situation better or worse, but we'll get to it. I did quite like it though, in general. Right? Yeah, it was nice. Yeah. Like, for some reason, it's nice seeing wrestlers kind of walk into the ring and not have to climb up into it or go up some steps or something. It's very minor, but. I wonder if they're going to do that. For sure. I wonder if they'll do that for all their pay-per-views.
Well, that's the thing. Like, they haven't done it for any of the other ones. I'm not sure whether this was like a pay-per-view specific thing because of the things they had planned, or
sure. Either way,
whether they're just going to do it. Again, it's another thing as well. I respect the AEW for is that all of their set was full gear.
Yeah,
All of their
unique.
set had everything unique, and they'll never be able to use it again. I was like, hey, man.
They might do full gear next year. You never know, right?
Maybe it's a recurring pay-per-view. Maybe this is the start of their, like, you know, pay-per-views that they do now. But if it's not, then that's a lot of money to just
Production design in general was great. I'm sure we'll get that individually as we go through, because it does come up a few times, right? But yeah, let's get first match. Let's get into it. I know I went a little bit off road straight away. I pulled us off.
Sure, yeah, it's stuff that's worth discussion. We'll just like bring it up as it comes up, right?
What did you think of this match, Josh?
Man, this match was great. I actually really like this match because I really like Santana Ortiz, and I do like the Young Bucks probably more than you do, if that's fair to say.
Sure.
But I think this match really brought out the best in both teams, to be honest, because like we haven't seen a Santana Ortiz match in a while.
No, yeah, they've been doing beatdowns and stuff like this, but they haven't.
Yeah, they mostly just been going around doing inner circle heel stuff, right?
Yeah,
and like you said, beatdowns and things like that. But no, it shows why they're where they are in terms of, you know, in the tag division, because they're great
for sure. I think so it's not that I don't like the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks just have a habit of playing into like spot monkey sort of wrestling. And I'm not remotely unique in that. I'm not saying this like I'm sort of like this isn't some profound criticism.
This isn't a hot take.
Yeah, I know I've heard this all over the place, but at the same time, this match kind of demonstrates that that's not all they are. They're clearly capable. They're not like that's just what they tend to do. They are very capable of doing these kind of more story-based matches. Because there's the obvious ongoing story in this match is I think it's Nick Jackson, right? I think it's his leg. I think it's Nick anyway. It's not Matt.
It is Nick. They attack Nick's leg throughout.
Well, also he kicks the ring post. That's the big moment, right? He boots the ring post, and from that moment on, he's limping. Like, for example, at one point in the match, I think they go for a Meltzer driver, and he jumps onto the rope, right? And he just tumbles off because he can't do the springboard. Yeah. Again, it's this long form kind of storytelling that I really liked, and it's these sort of matches that I love the Young Bucks in. It was probably my favorite match I've seen by them in a long time. We got to see one of my favourite spots in AEW as well, Josh. Can you guess what it is? It's from Ortiz.
Is it the super kick?
Oh, no, I forgot about that. That's also great. I was going to say the planking headbutt.
The planking headbutt. Oh, man.
It's been just long enough. It was just long enough since we saw it. I forgot that was a thing.
Because I called it coming. I'm like, oh, he's going to do that dumb headbutt thing. And you're like, wait, what? And he did it.
That soup. So Ortiz gets a soup kicked by one of the Young Bucks. You have to forgive me. I don't remember which one it was.
I don't remember.
He gets clocked by it, and instead of just going down, it's like getting hit by a spring. So he gets hit, and he kind of just wiggles on his feet, and then face plants.
Yeah, he looks like Wile E. Coyote.
Yes.
It's like he's just like boing, and then
so
falls
good.
over.
There was a weird submission at one point as well. We're kind of going backwards through the match here, but like there was that. Do you remember the weird kind of Boston Crab? I think it was a camel clutch, like the when they both had one end of Santana and / Ortiz or Nick or whoever it was.
Yeah, it was like all four.
They were
of them
all
were
involved
the
in this somehow.
And both the Young Bucks were trying to submit both of Proud and Powerful at the same time in the same move.
Yeah, it was really weird. I liked
really
it,
absurd,
but yeah, generally though, it was really, again, the ongoing story was Nick's leg, which comes up again later, like not so much again, but so they come out later on in the show. We'll obviously explain when we get to it, but he's still limping then, right? It's still a factor. I like that sort of full show kind of story. We both got predictions. No, I got this one. Yeah. It's going to be a running theme of this evening, isn't it, Josh?
Wow, all right. But no, this match is really good. Again, just to talk about Ortiz, not to say anything bad about Santana, but Ortiz is his character's great. He's just this kind of like gurning, kind of gormless, kind of stupid, but also great character. At one point, it was the point where the leg thing comes up, where one of the Young Bucks goes to kick him and he moves out the way. And Nick Jackson goes to kick him. He moves out the way and he punts the ring post. And he turns the camera and he just points at his head and he goes, "I'm a genius." And I was like, great.
I think at one point he was just going, "Ideas."
Yeah.
And he did like the tiger claws at the ref at one point. Do you remember when the ref like, ran away scared?
He scared the ref off by going rah with his tiger claws.
I think it's a really good pairing as well, because Santana strikes me as legitimately quite threatening. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Something about him is quite imposing, right? And Ortiz is as well, but in that sort of like I made this comparison the first week where we watched them. I've forgotten the bloody cartoon. Tasmanian Devil. Taz, right?
Taz. Not the wrestler Taz.
No, not the rest of the cartoon character. Like, it's got a little jack dude like, spinning around and just like waving his... Oh, it's great. But obviously Santana and Ortiz come out on top on this, to go back to my prediction comment.
Yeah, we didn't... Well, I didn't see this coming. I thought because the Young Bucks had lost a lot quite recently that they would pick this one up. But hey man, I'm not mad about it. Like,
I liked it. Again, it legitimizes Santana and Ortiz like really strongly. Not that they necessarily needed it, but the Young Bucks are over and everyone knows how good they are. Right, so I think it's good for newer audiences to these tag teams to just get shown how good Santana and Ortiz are, and to demonstrate that you're putting a lot of weight behind them. And again, it legitimizes the Inner Circle's tag component, which I think you needed.
Totally. Yeah. Totally.
Otherwise, to be very blunt about it, it's just Jericho that's winning matches.
Yeah,
right?
True.
Like, Sammy's great, but I don't think he's won that many, unless I'm forgetting matches he's had.
No, yeah, he's been involved in a lot of tag stuff with Jericho as well, to be fair, so it's like kind of... But just to bring it up as well, we'll probably be referencing it as we go down the card. AEW published like a top 5 of each division.
They did, yeah. They finally released the rankings.
Yeah, so like top 5 contenders or whatever for the title. And it's worth noting that in the tag team division, Young Bucks are number 3 in the top 5, and Proud and Powerful actually aren't ranked. They're not in the top 5.
Well, I think they only had one match before this, right?
They had, but...
So that'll be why. So I'm curious where they'll go to now. Will they... Because I remember them saying, or I think I do, I might be misremembering this, but I'm pretty sure they were essentially saying it's not just win-loss, right? It's about who you win, about the context, about how you beat them, and all. There's a lot of... It kind of gives them an out, right? You can have someone suddenly jump up a lot. So would you assume now that Santana and Ortiz are going to be ahead of the Young Bucks? Because that feels somewhat safe to me, right?
Yeah, I'd assume they'd be in the top 5 at the very least. Like,
they've got to be above Best Friends.
Yeah, right? Like number 5 are the Best Friends, number 4 are the Dark Order, and number 3 are the Young Bucks.
So they've 100% got to be. They'll probably not.
They've got to be like 3 or 4. I'm feeling like
3. I'd probably guess they'll go to 3, and Young Bucks get knocked down to 4.
Yeah, and then the Best Friends will go to like 6 or something. I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting though for the future. Like I like that they're doing this, and I also kind of called it in our last predictions thing that they were going to introduce some sort of system like this, so that matches outside of the title picture actually have some sort of like weight to them.
Yeah, so you've got a target, right? You're fighting for something. Yeah. So again, same as you have in the UFC, right? You've got rankings, and you got like all the UFC rankings, and it's a big deal if you're ranked. I think when, for example, I'm assuming not everyone that might listens or watches UFC. Sorry, we recently had who was it? Nate Diaz versus Masvidal.
Yeah.
I remembered his name. Got it. And that was for like it was just for like some generic belt. It was like kind of a belt made for this fight, right? I think it was Badass Mother. That was literally how they kept pronouncing it at the show. And they introduced them by saying, this is number 1 ranked and number 3 ranked. Even though they're not champions, you can still be like, this guy is like top tier, right? And you can do the same here now. So like when, again, Santana come out, they can be like, this is, the 3rd ranked AEW team versus, first or second, right? Blah, whatever rank they're fighting at. But like you say, it gives them extra weight. And there was a post-match beatdown after this, right? And it was an interesting one. Because we should mention Rock and Roll Express were at ringside, because that's relevant to this next part.
Yeah, they turned up again and looked, oh god. So Jesus, man.
We get Sammy Guevara coming out, right? So the match ends.
Yeah.
And we get Sammy Guevara's coming down vlogging with his phone, because he's an obnoxious dick like that, and I love it. Yeah. And Santana and Ortiz are beating down the Young Bucks in the ring. Suddenly, the Rock and Roll Express jump in the ring, or jump over the barrier. And start helping the Young Bucks. Now, I thought this was going to be a pretty minor thing, right? They'll start throwing some punches, which is what they do, right? And then suddenly, I look away, right, for maybe a minute, 30 seconds. And I look back, and Ricky Morton is doing a Canadian Destroyer. A 60-plus-year-old man is doing a Canadian Destroyer on Santana, and then does a suicide dive.
Yeah.
What?
Man, it's so crazy. I saw it happening, and I was like,
I had to rewind it. We watched it together. I rewound it when it happened. I was like, did I just see that? Like,
I was like, what's happening here? Because they were like one side of the ropes, and Santana Ortiz were the other side of the ropes, and I'm like, right, what are they setting up for here? They're setting up for something. And then it was Santana. Santana got a bit closer, and Ricky Morton just jumped. Canadian destroyed him, and I was like, don't get me wrong, it wasn't the smoothest thing in the world.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was pretty sloppy in general.
60-plus-year-old man.
It was the sort of Canadian Destroyer that I'd expect for someone who is that sort of age, but I wouldn't.
Totally.
The fact he did it like alone is so impressive to me. I can't imagine.
Hats off to him.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no credit where it's due. I've never seen much of the Rock and Roll Express. Admittedly, that's before my time in terms of wrestling.
Yeah, same.
I've seen some older wrestling, but like I tend to be very selective in the older stuff I watch, right? But I think this gives us a real feel-good moment as well, right? Because you get the end with the Rock and Roll Express and the Young Bucks in the ring, hands held high. Even though they didn't win, you still get a nice moment with them. Blah, blah, blah.
Which I think they did a lot in this pay-per-view in general, like took the edge off a lot of losses. Like there was a lot of post-match stuff where someone would lose, but you still wouldn't feel like they're 100% out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. What we got next, Josh?
We've got Pac versus Hangman Page.
Again, another match I did not think would be this early on the card.
No, I thought this was... Well, I guess it's just because I thought Pac himself would be higher up the card. That's the thing.
True.
To
take Page, to be fair, but...
To take nothing away from Hangman, but I think Pac's just one of the best wrestlers. I know we keep saying it, but I think Pac's one of the best wrestlers they've got in general in terms of technical wrestling. Like, say what you want about character work or whatever, but...
I think in terms of character work as well, but I think we can't fanboy about Pac enough, honestly. This match starts stiff, so like it ends up to go straight to the outside, basically, right?
Yeah.
And Pac is just getting thrown into these barriers.
Yep.
It's and we're not talking like soft throws. He's really getting heaved into. They start really stiff.
That's the thing. Something that I've got as well is when he's getting heaved into these barriers. I think it was Excalibur on commentary said these barriers weigh upwards of a couple of £100, and I'm like, wait, do they though?
No,
they don't look like they do.
They don't. Not a chance.
They're just like metal bars. Like it's not like they're weighted. They're not WWE walls or whatever. They're not like they're like New Japan. New Japan.
Yeah, they're just guardrails, right?
Yeah.
To be fair, around the same time,
thrown
I have a feeling me and you both realised at the same time. Because about this point, in my notes, I have like a break in between my match notes, and all I've written is, where the hell is Shivani? It wasn't on this pay-per-view.
No, it was something we should probably bring up now. Commentary on this pay-per-view. It wasn't bad, but it was insane. It was so crazy in terms of like what they were talking about at any given point.
JR, I love you, but what happened? Like, what happened before this show? Did you not have enough sugar? Like, I want to know something's going on here because he was. There's so many. I've got a lot of moments written down. I'm not going to go through them all, but so many points in this. I remember looking at you going, "What the hell is happening? Someone get Shivani."
The problem is, if you weren't 100% focused on commentary the whole time and where they were going, if you just tuned in and out of commentary, you had no idea what was going on because there were so many non sequiturs and go on tangents about stuff. And...
At one point, there's an Alabama slammer, and they're arguing. He asked something "What do you know what Bob Harley used to call that move?" He's like, "No." I'm like, first of all, who doesn't know that it's called an Alabama slammer? And then Joe's like, "I'll tell you over dinner." I'm like, "What was the?" What? What was that?
I don't know if that was a dig or not. I don't know if it was a little dig at Bob Holly, I guess.
The hardest man in the world.
Oh man. Oh.
Sorry, back to the match though. We'll get to the commentary as it becomes relevant. I'm sure we'll keep bringing it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this was a generally great match. It started off with a really dominant start by Page, right? If I remember right. That was the thing I remember specifically. He's getting thrown on the outside a lot. he's getting tossed. Pac's getting tossed around the outside, like into barriers, and like he keeps trying to counter, and Page keeps shutting him down. And then 5-10 minutes in, Pac starts getting an offense, and it really starts going back and forth at that point.
Yeah.
There's some really stiff kicks in this match. Specific, I don't know why I remember that, but some of the boots and some of these kicks were brutal.
All to the head as well. That's the thing. Like, it's stiff kicks to the head and face of your opponent. It's like...
Stiff really is the word I'd use to describe a lot. Like, the one spot that stuck with me. Do you know what I'm going to say?
Is it the same one I've got written down, maybe?
I don't know. What have you got?
Okay.
I was going to say the brain buster on the chair.
That's exactly the same one that I got. I was like, oh god, they're actually going to do it. Okay, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, because Hangman had a giant mark down his back at the end of this match. I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. But
yeah, Pac did a brainbuster to Hangman onto a chair on the outside, and it was
horrific.
It was gross to watch, but in a good way.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I loved it. There was, in fact, now I'm thinking about it, there were a lot of cool. There was another standing brutalizer, right? With trying to tap out. I don't remember how he got to it. Did Page go for like a powerbomb or something?
I think he went for he was trying to get him into a slam or something, and Pac reversed it into a standing up brutalizer.
The same way he finished Omega.
Yeah,
a while ago. Didn't finish Page. He obviously got to the ropes but that move just looks fantastic. Like, regardless it's one of my favorite submission moves.
It's really good.
It just looks like it hurts, and I'm sure it does, right? There was a really awesome fall away slam, right, from the top rope that threw Pac legitimately across the entire ring.
Yep, just the whole width of the ring, he just threw him across.
It was crazy. Do you want to walk us through the ending of this match, though, Josh? Because it happens pretty quick, right? It's you obviously got the attempted low blow, right? So so there's this really awesome chain wrestling, or not chain wrestling, but this kind of countering and maneuvering section where you've got, I think Hangman goes for the buckshot lariat. Yeah. Pac dodges it, goes for like a German or something, and they spin around, like lots of kind of back and forth like this, until Page ends up behind Pac in like a German suplex position, and he kind of pushes him forward and into the refs. The refs kind of cowering, like about to get pushed into by both these guys, and Pac goes for a low blow, which I'm pretty sure is how he finished Page last time, right? He's been pulling out a lot of these like cheeky low blows with him when he can kind of distract the ref. But Page got scouted, right? I like this. It's a bit more long term. Like, this is how he lost last time. He shouldn't get. Yeah. This is why I'm going to make a WWE comparison.
All right.
When do you remember the Shinsuke versus AJ Styles feud?
I do, yeah.
And the predominant theme of that feud was Shinsuke really, really just likes kicking AJ in the dick.
Yep.
And it happened maybe a dozen times.
Yeah,
and AJ never figures it out. I love the fact this happened once to Page. He was like, not again. Nope. No. He hits the Deadeye, and that's it, right? So he counters this kick, hits the Deadeye, 1, 2, 3, and wins. Which, again, not the result I expected.
No. I was the same. We both got this wrong.
Makes change for the night, eh?
Wow. Jesus.
Great. Another great match.
Yeah, it was an interesting result as well, because in the men's division power rankings, I keep calling them power rankings like they're it's an anime, but they're not.
Division rankings, right?
Yeah, totally. Number 1, Cody Rhodes. Number 2 is Pac. Number 3 is Hangman Page. 4, Kenny Omega, and 5, Jon Moxley. Now, this was obviously a match between number 2 and number 3, in terms of Pac being 2, Hangman being 3. I assume this just switches the order around.
Maybe.
Right?
Maybe. I think you could probably justify it not changing. But whether they will or not. Because, again, it was quite a close match for the most part. Pac was not quite a bit ahead, but he's got like a very solid win-loss ratio, right?
Yeah.
He's already got victories over some of the other big guys. He's already beaten Hangman once before.
Yeah.
Then again, if they do switch, that also makes a lot of sense, right? I wouldn't be surprised at either way. I think they probably will, just because that feels like what they were fighting for. Is the number 2 spot.
Yeah, totally.
I don't really want to see Page go for the title, but I'd rather see Pac Jericho. If one of these two is gonna go for the title push, I'd rather it was gonna be Pac. Because I'd imagine Cody might not be in the same spot as he is now. We'll talk about that again later on.
Yeah, true. But I feel like I know what an Adam Page Jericho match looks like, kind of. Where I don't know what a Pac Jericho match looks like.
I mean, we've seen it, right? Quite a few times. But what it looks like in AEW would be the good question, right?
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's the infamous Jericho clip, right, where Neville breaks his ankle or slips, it hurts his ankle really badly, and Jericho has to push the ref and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, I guess it'd be quite a good challenger. But we'll get to the title picture later on because I think that's an interesting sort of thing. I have a prediction for maybe a kind of a left field situation going to happen with the title, but we'll talk about it when we get there. Overall, solid match. I loved it.
Yeah, totally.
Next up, we've got probably my least favourite match. Again, not an insult. This was also a really solid match. But the match I was least interested in, right? Spears Janela.
Shawn Spears versus Joey Janela.
What did you think?
I mean, it was a wrestling match.
It was indeed. One thing I did love, for the record, is Spears' entrance. Is he's sitting at the top of the ramp on his chair because he's the chairman.
Yeah. The chairman.
Yeah, that's what I said, the chairman.
Yeah.
And his music doesn't start until he gets up and shuts the chair.
I
don't know why I like it, but I do. I really like his ring gear in general. I like the hood. I like he's wearing contacts, I think, right? I'm not quite sure about that, but he's got like the red gear. I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
Again, it makes him look more legitimate, which is, as I'm pretty sure in our predictions for this, we both agreed that the result for this was kind of an obvious one because they need to establish Spears as a legitimate wrestling threat, right? Considering his history.
Yeah.
And Janela doesn't necessarily need it.
True.
I haven't got too much to say about this. There was one really cool spot with Shawn Spears tying Janela's hair in the corner, right?
Yeah.
He takes like the ring cover or the turnbuckle cover off and ties his hair into the corner. There's a couple of big moves. Have you got any like notable moments from this match?
Yeah, I mean it's a relatively back and forth match. I think like Shawn Spears is coming out on top in a lot of the exchanges.
It definitely starts off quite even, right? It doesn't end that way, but
yeah, and then sort of Joey Janela starts to get the upper hand, and then Shawn Spears goes back on the offense. And I think the one move that really decided it was that there was Shawn Spears had Joey Janela in like a pile driver position, and Tully Blanchard, who accompanied him out to the ring.
Oh yeah, I forgot about this.
Stands on the top of the ring steps and like jumps on and basically spikes Joey Janela into the ground.
In my notes, I've got Blanchard hits a ... melts a driver.
Yeah, it was kind of melts
it was
driver.
Is that sort of move, right?
Yeah, he like uses him for extra momentum or whatever in a kayfabe sense.
There was another very notable move in this, which was the sidewalk slam onto the top of the ring post. Right, it wasn't onto like that looked horrible in a good way. Looked again brutal. And there was a weird like flipping senton that Janela did to the outside that looked great. Right. There were a couple of cool spots in this match. It just didn't go on that long, right? It was sub 10 minutes, I think.
It was, and I think in general the reason that I don't feel particularly strongly about this match isn't just because of the people in. It's also this felt kind of like made for the pay-per-view, like the storyline, because you had like one Shawn Spears attack on Janela and then the pay-per-view match, right?
Yeah,
and it's like.
Just there wasn't there wasn't like not a lot of build.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the record, I don't think I would call what Spears is doing a Death Valley driver. Because it's more like an F5 or something, right?
Yeah, they called it a Death Valley driver, and I wasn't sure whether that was a spur of the moment thing because he realised that he couldn't call it an F5.
They called it a Death Valley driver, like I think last week on the weekly show as well. Now I love a good Death Valley. It's one of like the when someone gets it right, it's one of my favourite wrestlers. I've said before, I want some big bastard to start doing the Death Valley driver.
No, because they'll kill them.
I know, and it'll look great. I want like Big Show to Death Valley Driver like Rey Mysterio. Imagine it. Imagine it.
I mean, yeah, he just gets squashed, right? Like, not in the wrestling sense of the word, like actually physically squashed.
It's a move we don't see that much in wrestling nowadays. Or no, that's not quite true. It's one of the rare.
It's becoming more popular
moves.
again, I think.
Yeah.
Ever since like Velveteen Dream started using it.
I was going to say Velveteen's the one. And he does a great. Again, like I think that's how you do it, right? You have to be. You got to hold them all the way down. You can't flip them off. You've got to jump into it with them. But it's a good looking move. Don't when Spears does it. I just don't know if I'd call it a Death Valley Driver. But so he hits Death Valley Driver 1, 2, 3. Janela loses again. Quite a predictable result.
Sure, yeah, I think they're trying to move Shawn Spears onto better things now, aren't they? Really,
I believe I said to you in my predictions that worst comes to worst, they've got Blanchard there, so he can just interfere and win, and that's basically what happened. Right? I think Spears was going to win anyway. He was looking quite dominant.
Yeah,
but that interference, the pile driver on the outside, 100% was the death knell of this match. Because I'm pretty sure he hit that and then just rolled him in and did the Death Valley Driver. Right? Basically, there might have been a little bit between it, but.
Pretty much, there was like a little bit more, but yeah, that was the two big major spots after that.
And then we've got like a weird Kip Sabian backstage.
Yeah, Kip Sabian shows up again after like not showing up for a while, and his gimmick is still that he's hot and like
this backstage. This was stupid. I didn't understand what the point of this was whatsoever. Really. Can you enlighten me to what happened here, really?
No, I mean, it's just heels doing heel stuff, right? Like, he's just communicating that he's unlikable.
He's done a good job.
That's what you're supposed to take away from that, I think. Again, not that it was, like, bad or badly done or anything. It was totally fine, but I think I've just seen this type of thing too much before.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, trying to get heat by calling people ugly and...
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not about it.
We'll kind of skip. We'll not skip over that. There wasn't. Again, there wasn't much to this. It wasn't a particularly long promo.
It was just a little minute and a half thing.
Just kind of fill time before the big matches start. I think, right? Because now we've got all title matches from here on. I'm pretty sure the next 3 matches are all the title matches, right? Unless I've got the order written down wrong.
Yeah.
So we start off with the title match. Do you want to take us through this one, Josh? Because this was a weird match.
Yeah, so you got the tag 3-way for the tag belts. So you've got SCU as the champions coming in. You've got Lucha Brothers as the second place finishers in the tag tournament, and the Private Party as the bronze medalists. Who
came out with their bronze medals, I believe. No, wait, didn't Lucha come out with the silver medals?
Yeah, Lucha... Or did Lucha... Oh, God. Lucha had...
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Lucha came out with their medals, but Private Party didn't.
Okay, right. I got them mixed up, yeah. For the record, I don't like the medals. I don't think they look very good. I don't like this kind of...
Yeah, I think the medals are kind of weird.
I'm okay with it if you don't have a belt, if that makes sense. But, it just seems a weird consolation prize.
Yeah. But,
Also, I can't remember the name of this type of tag match. But it's... obviously a triple threat with...
Is it tornado tag?
No, tornado tag's when both members of a team are allowed in the ring at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
This obviously has only 2 teams are in the ring at once, and 1 team is always tagged out. Now, don't get me wrong, in practice it tends to work, because wrestlers find ways to get in the ring, right? It's the beauty of predetermined wrestling, right? But in terms of concept, it just doesn't feel very good to me. Why not just have it be a triple threat? Like an actual...
Well, that's the thing. Like there were parts in the match that I quite like that signify why this sometimes works. In that there were some parts where, for instance, one of the Private Party was down and out on the floor, where he'd been taken out by, say, the Lucha Brothers. This isn't actually an example, but been taken out by one of the Lucha Brothers. So you've got one of them in the ring without his tag partner in the corner, but he knows he's going to get pinned if he doesn't tag someone else in.
Yeah.
So you have to go over and tag the other team so that you don't pin and get lose. Get the loss.
yeah, exactly.
Which I think is probably the only way the stipulation really works, but it's...
Don't get me wrong, this match worked fine, I think. So this isn't... I don't say this is a criticism of this match specifically, just of that. I think that format's a bit strange. Lucha were quite dominant, right? They didn't start in the ring. I'm pretty sure it started with SCU and Private Party.
Yeah.
And Lucha came in early, and they were pretty dominant for the first kind of 5-10 minutes of this match. There's, oh my god, one of my favourite spots of the evening. Right. Ray Phoenix.
Yeah, I've got this same
fucking crazy. Like, he comes off 3 ropes. He jumps across. He goes from one rope to over a turnbuckle to the second rope, and then up to the third rope, and then does like a corkscrew off the top into the outside.
He's crazy, man. I didn't give that guy enough respect, but this match totally won me over to him.
He's ridiculous. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I love the Lucha Bros. I think I've been saying that to you. I think I was more familiar with them than you were, obviously, when AEW started. I remember telling you these guys are really good. And they need to do more stuff of this, because I think every match they've had has been fantastic. But it's matches like this that I think make people go, oh.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Up a bit, right?
It was great. There was again, Phoenix again. Do you remember the really brutal spike DDT he got hit with from like the top rope? Woo, buddy.
That was.
What are you doing?
There was a lot of that in this match in general. I think just like kind of ooh moments of.
Yeah.
Overall, it was really good. But I'm not saying it's not. Were there any other spots you want to particularly talk about? Because I've only really got that
only because there weren't necessarily like this match wasn't a spotty match to me. It was just a great wrestling.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that really stuck with me. That big flip to the outside, the big DDT.
Yeah.
There was some really creative stuff, but again, it's the Lucha Brothers. It's what I expect from them at this point.
Yeah, that's the thing. The one thing I do want to talk about in this match is that.
Oh, SCU impressed me quite a lot as well. For someone, I wasn't overly up on the S. Not that maybe that's unfair. I was not convinced they should have been champions over the Lucha Bros. I'm still not really, but they did earn their. In my head, they've earned their championship spot with me. I'm like, okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, it felt like I don't know whether the crowd was just a little bit dead by this point, but it felt like SCU was supposed to be a much bigger deal that they won than it was.
Sure,
in terms of crowd reaction.
We did get the big moment after, which we'll get to in a second, I'm sure. Right?
Yeah.
The crowd were really hyped for them when they came out. There were a lot of SCU chants, which I wasn't quite expecting because I'm pretty sure they're meant to be shitty in heels. But
there was a lot more. I think the problem is that Lucha Brothers are overtaking SCU in how over they are. Because there was a lot of the zero miedo stuff.
Yeah.
That, like, everyone was chanting it. Like, everyone in the crowd, it didn't matter. Everyone was doing it every time that...
Sure.
Every time either of them
I think
did it.
the Lucha Brothers just got, like, I don't say a cooler gimmick, but, like, it's a cooler gimmick, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that. It's
especially Junior, right? He's got the tattoos and the mask, like the black metal face paint thing going on. Oh, it's great. What? Have you just clicked why I love this tag?
No, I've always known it, but now you've. Oh yeah, well he's got all this stuff that I love, and I'm like, well, he's more over with you, but not.
Phoenix is great. He's great. He's great. They're both amazing. I can't, again, I'm not going to keep fangirling over Lucha Bros, but.
And again, like not to discount Private Party either. They did some really impressive stuff in this match.
Yeah, for sure. And I think when we were doing our predictions again, right, we were saying I think they were there, not as window dressing. That's really harsh, but like I think to add to more of the story of the match than they were to be. I never once thought they were going to win. I would have been shocked if they had won.
I would have been really amazed, to be fair.
That's not to say that they had like that it would have been a bad idea, or like it wouldn't have annoyed me. I would have been very surprised. And it's worth noting SCU did retain here.
Yeah, SCU retained. Then we've got the major point after the match where someone who's deemed by commentary as Pentagon Trez.
Oh, it's so good.
So it's the lights go down, they come back up, and there's a man in the ring opposite Pentagon Jr. who's dressed as Pentagon Jr.
So the Lucha Bros were doing a post-match beatdown, right?
Yeah.
And they had one of the SCU in like, I don't know what position it was. Pentagon was about to hit some big move. And like you said, the lights drop out, and then Pentagon Trez appears. And he's just staring down Pentagon Jr. And at this point, this is the moment I realised that Pentagon needs to start assuming this is going to happen. Because this isn't the first time he's been jumped post-match by himself, is it? And it's not like it was like less than, 2 years ago? This happened last time.
Yeah.
And I think he had the exact same response.
To be like, hey man, what's happening? Then he gets attacked, and it's like, oh god.
He starts doing like the mierdos thing, and he starts doing like weird like positions, and the guy opposite him mirrors it. And who was it, Josh? It wasn't Jericho this time. Which it was
Chris
last
Daniels, third member of SCU,
returning
back
from injury. What happened to him originally? I think Pentagon pile drove it onto the ring, right?
Yeah, he like pile drove him onto the ramp or something and injured his neck, and he was carted off by.
I'm still unsure about how legitimate that injury was, or what the I don't know. It couldn't have been that serious, obviously, because that was less than a month ago. But
yeah, true.
I'm curious why they did it, but I'm assuming that there might have been some minor niggling injury that he just couldn't keep. They wanted to rehab for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem to hurt them very much. But yes, again, you get another feel-good moment, right? Somewhat. Because you've got, is it the Fallen Angel they were calling him? I think it's the Fallen Angel.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know if he's coming back with a new gimmick now, or they were just calling him
I'm pretty sure he was the Fallen Angel before, but I'm not familiar with the SCU whatsoever. That's the what I've gleaned from all this, is that was one of his nicknames. But yeah, the crowd popped. That's where the crowd got a bit hot again. They popped for him coming back.
Yeah, totally.
They fought off the Lucha Bros, and this big moment with all three of SCU in the ring, the reigning champions. I'm assuming they're Freebird ruling, right? I mean, I don't know if they've talked about it or not.
I'm not sure. I assume so, because he was originally going to take part in the tag champ.
Yeah.
Didn't. So,
Yeah, overall, again, another amazing match. The midpoint of the card, I think, which is what made them struggle a little bit, right? That's where it's where the audience starts dipping, because you've had the first few matches I'm really hyped for. Then you, in reality as well, and again, this isn't a disrespectful statement, but I think Spears, Janela probably dulled the crowd a little bit, because it's less Christ. You went from Pac, one of the most over guys, to what I believe probably should have been the first match on the card.
Well, maybe, but I like what they're doing in terms of putting big feel matches and maybe not quite as big feel matches
for sure
in amongst each other.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not even really criticizing the layout of the match. I say that I probably would have put it first. I'm not a wrestling booker. I think
I know that.
Right. This is empty speculation on my part. Yeah. But we've also now got the 3 title matches. So again, I think this is where we start heating up again. The crowd gets really into this, and the next match, crowd were loving. Right. What have we got next, Josh? Because this is arguably my match of the night, which surprised me.
Yeah, it was really good. Emi Sakura versus Riho.
So good.
Yeah,
now we get a promo. We get a promo before this match.
Yeah, we do.
Do you want to take us through it? Because this adds a lot of context, right?
Sure. So it was basically just a promo about there was a lot of, what looked like video, cassette tape footage.
Sorry, I should add. The reason I'm asking is because I know in our predictions, I think I was saying that this match didn't feel like it had much build to it. It didn't have it feels like they had some tag matches, right? I wasn't aware of the length of history, and this kind of expands on it, right?
Yeah, so they were going back over the history of these two knowing each other, basically, because obviously Sakura is Riho's wrestling teacher.
Yeah.
Talks about how Riho used to be a gymnast, and through one of her gymnast teachers found Sakura and started doing wrestling. And this was when I think she said she was still in grade school, so she was 9 or something. She's 20 now.
Yes, super young.
22, something like that. So it's 13 years they've known each other, and she's been the teacher, which you see later because they make their entrances, right? They both make their entrances. They're both in the ring, and they're introducing challenger, champion, and the names. and Sakura can't stop like tearing up.
She's
it was actually
legitimately
really
crying.
touching. Yeah.
I am a soulless monster. Even I was a little bit moved by it. I was like, oh.
I was like, oh, this is the teacher like seeing the pinnacle of their students' work. It was great. It was awesome.
I mean, I'm sure
really actual
they
wholesome
both obviously wrestled before. This isn't like new to them, but I think like seeing it must be a moment to see your student on what is effectively now probably not the biggest promotion. WWE's obviously still bigger, but the most like it's got the most momentum behind it. Well, I think in terms of like perception, wrestling fans are more excited for AEW at the minute, right? Maybe that's unfair. Maybe that's just us, but like there's a real like feeling of like something actually happening here, right? And to be I can imagine to be the first champion of that and see your student go through that is again, it's a moving experience, we'll say.
Yeah.
She cries at the end as well, full blown.
She does.
She's weeping.
Breaking kayfabe. He wouldn't like that. Vince wouldn't.
Cornette, I could hear him screaming. He's throwing stuff around his room. And this match.
Like,
sorry, go on.
It didn't look like they loved each other in the wrestling match that they had.
So this match opens with the thing they keep doing, and it makes me cringe, and I love it. Is the hair throws. I don't know what it is, man, but something about the way Sakura just throws her around by her hair. It looks so painful, and yet it's great. Nothing else in life would I say those combination of words, right? I would never say, oh, that looks horrific. This is amazing.
I imagine it is actually kind of painful, but you just kind of put up with it. Because there's no way to work that, right? Am I missing something? Like, you can't...
Yeah, no, I've got no idea.
Unless it's like fake hair. That's really good fake hair if it can take your whole body weight.
Yeah, exactly. Even then, I feel that probably hurt more. If you glue it to your hair or like extensions or something, you just rip someone's extensions out, right? This match in general is probably one of the more brutal of the night. And considering the match we've had, I know I said that for Pac and Page as well, but there's so many spots here where I remember me and you just wincing watching it. Mostly because, again, the size difference. I looked it up. So, like, Riho's, I think, 5'2", 5'1",
I think she's
like
5'1", yeah.
90 pounds.
Yeah.
She really is, like, tiny. And when, like, Sakura does, like, a brutal crossbody into the corner at one point, and it looks like Riho just gets folded in half.
Yeah.
The stomps, right? Onto the apron.
Ooh. Yeah, like, the thing is, as well, I don't want to say it for every Riho match, but man, it is scary. There was one point where Sakura chained backbreakers together.
Yes.
She had these like really insane like backbreakers she was doing, and it looked like she was dying every time. It looked like Riho was actually like in a coma after every backbreaker. And
don't get me wrong, like you said, I don't want to say it every time. Eventually, I'm sure I'll probably get used to the fact that Riho just looks like again, to make another WWE comparison. It's a little bit like Sasha Banks. Banks has this talent of making it look like she's about to break her neck. Now, don't get me wrong, she also injures herself a reasonable amount. But
which I'm amazed Riho hasn't done yet, to be honest. But
yeah, but it's the same talent, right? It's the talent of like I legitimately fear for you when you're wrestling, right? That's something that for most wrestlers, realistically, I know you're a professional, you're a big dude, or you're a strong woman, you can take it, right? I've seen you take a lot of stuff. But again, I feel if Riho gets like a strong win, she might break. No, that's because I'm not familiar with her. I trust her because she's champion, right? Clearly, they have a lot of faith in her. But goddamn, please stop scaring me so much for a little bit. There was some awesome chain wrestling in this match as well, like technical wrestling.
What I was going to say as well, like they both have. You would have insane chemistry when you've been working together for so long, but just different level. They just like knew what each other was going to do, and without.
I think they say at the start, right? They've been in the ring. I didn't write the number
like
down.
300
plus times.
Like,
which makes sense. Again, student teacher, you'd expect it. I think they were both in Stardom, right? They both wrestled in companies together. And again, I was correct in when we first saw a Riho match. I remember saying to you, I was like, from how they're wrestling, I feel this is like Stardom wrestlers because Stardom terrifies me. It's just brutal. It's like it's great, but it is all like this, right? They're doing like massive kicks and spine shattering tombstones and stuff. What was the finish of this? Because the finish of this match didn't confuse me. It was just it was hectic, right?
Yeah, so I can't remember what actually leads up to it, but it ends in Riho.
Well, it's like this crazy back and forth chain wrestling, right? So they're kind of they're going all over the place. They're like counters and rolls and suplexes, and then there's like a weird. I've written it down as like a Rana pin.
Yeah, so it was like I think Sakura ended up doing some like a power bomb, and then went for a pin, and then went. That didn't work. She kicked out, so she went for another power bomb, and then Riho like ends up doing this. It was kind of a Hurricane Rana, but it went all around her body and rolled her up. Like I don't know how it happened.
It was really cool. I just don't. I don't know what to call it.
I was like, yeah.
It was awesome, and Riho retains, which I think this is again something we both predicted.
Yeah.
If I'd known the history, I might have been slightly less prone to predict it, but they weren't going to take this off Riho. And I think I said to you during the night, I would have been surprised if Sakura wanted to, knowing the history now as well. And knowing how emotional she was. I can imagine Sakura would have gone, no, don't want to take it off her. She's keeping it. We'll have a great match. I'll make her look strong. Yeah. And I think it served that purpose. Riho looked like a star, right? She looked great.
100%.
And so did Sakura, where was she on the rankings? She was first on the rankings, right?
Yeah.
What are the women's rankings, Josh? You want to run us down this one?
Yeah, so number one is Sakura. Obviously, worth mentioning, these don't include the champion.
Yes.
So the champion is at a theoretical 0, like above the top 5. So number one is Emi Sakura, which is probably maybe changed now. Number 2, Britt Baker. Number 3, Hikaru Shida. Number 4, Ali. Number 5, Nyla Rose.
Yeah, which I think there's a lot more movement that's going to happen in the women's roster than any of the other ones that I can think of. Because a lot of those people have had like not as many matches, right?
Yeah, it feels like I don't know. It feels like I haven't seen a lot of them very much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whereas for example, a lot of the men's roster we've seen them most weeks, right? That's why they've all got higher numbers as well. But yeah, the Riho match was arguably my match of the night. Definitely one of the top 3 of the night. It's really hard for me to filter it down more than that. I'm sure we'll discuss that later on. But
yeah, and now, oh god, I don't want to slam the table for our listeners, but my god, this next match.
I am a god of predicting. This match was great for an opposite set of reasons. Or for a completely different set of reasons for all the other matches. So what have we got next, Josh? Go on.
Got Cody, the American Nightmare, versus Le Champion, Jericho.
I think you mean El Champione?
No. No, I don't.
JR, again, this is one of those things for JR. He cannot seem to get all of the words in any of these sentences. He mixes and matches which type. Either the champion or Le Champion. But he always either says El Champion or Le Champion. I'm like, you've got half both times. Just say the rest. I love you, JR, but what's going on?
Yeah, again, it's just, I don't want to rag on commentary again, but
I'm not ragging on you. Just tonight was notably weird. It really confused me. I thought I was like high for some of it. I was like, am I hearing this wrong? And whatever.
Yeah,
anyway.
Am I crazy or is it?
Now what? I want you to walk us through some of this, Josh, because what was the first thing? We saw them doing their entrances, and I popped at a certain moment. And what was that moment, Josh? We should be clear. My prediction for this, I wasn't dead on. I was not dead on. I would like to say I was. I wasn't. My prediction was that MJF would cost Cody the win and turn on him. Now, I assumed those two things would be the same action, right? He would run in and low blow Cody or something and blah, blah. But the moment they started doing their entrances and MJF comes out with Cody.
Man, I knew I'd lost. That was the moment I knew I'd lost. I was like, MJF's here. Why is MJF here? Oh, God.
I popped hard, dude. Don't wrong. Jericho came out with Hager. But I was like, whatever. I can't have expected that. Blah, blah.
Yeah.
But what I didn't know is they were ring men, right? So they could and this comes up later on, is they can throw the towel in for their fighter. I don't quite know why I know why they did it. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I thought they were just like MJF was there just to be like not moral support, but because obviously Jericho had Hager.
Exactly. Yeah, it's the equalizing factor, right? Now, there's a few things we should point out even before this match starts. Cody's mum's at ringside, who, by the way, has got the stoniest face in the world. Like, she did not look emotional. There was one part where she did, admittedly. She was like stone, like just staring Jericho down most of this match. I kind of loved it. It was Jericho's birthday, which we got some chants for.
Yeah, which was "fuck your birthday" with a chance.
Fittingly, I think that's that's.
And then I think it was Excalibur on commentary. He was like, "Oh, the crowd are saying happy birthday," and I was like, "No,
not quite, no." Jericho, I think, in response, gives the entire audience the finger.
Yep,
beautiful heel work. He's also wearing a weight belt, which says Le Champion, mocking Cody's weight belt that he wears, obviously.
Yeah.
And
major.
Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say I don't know if you want to get to it yet, but the major talking point, Cody going onto the ramp, right?
Yes, we'll get there shortly because that is a big. There's a lot. I have a lot of questions to do with that, but I think really the first half of this match leading up to that, for the most part, I think I've written it down as it was surprisingly clean technical wrestling. Right, yeah. I wasn't expecting quite as much. I thought it was going to be a lot more shenanigans earlier, and there wasn't really. They did book Jericho as quite a legitimate threat, which don't get me wrong, they have. It's not like they booked him as a complete chicken shit heel. But he was just trying to straight fight him. There wasn't too much interference. I think Hager interfered once and then got booted out, right? Quite late in the match, of course, but
yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the dive because first it's worth noting Cody was, in terms of long-term storytelling, Cody was targeting Jericho's right arm, right? And the commentary kept bringing it out. They were like, he's targeting the elbow and the arm, so he can't do the Judas effect. He can't hit that spinning back elbow. I'm a little bit weird about like how effective that would actually be, but again, storytelling, never going to complain.
Yeah.
I've complained before about flippy shit in wrestling. I'm never going to complain about like story and character work. That's the thing I love in like wrestling.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, go on. Lead us through the Cody situation, Josh.
So yeah, basically Jericho's on the outside on the ramp that we mentioned before, like, that goes all the way out to the entrance, and Cody goes to do a suicide dive over the top rope. Jericho just kind of moves out the way.
Yeah, dodges it, right?
Dodges it, but Cody goes on again. It's the mark of a really great spot, but I'm not sure if it was planned or.
I'm 99% sure this was not intentional.
So Cody goes over the top, but lands on his hands, but then immediately on his forehead.
Yeah, he
opens up this massive gash above his eyebrow.
This is why
It's like
this is
really
why I don't
bad.
think it was planned. Because like, don't worry, maybe he planned to like land it a bit weirdly, but I think it was the nature of the cut. It wasn't a blade, right? He didn't blade himself. It wasn't a pre-sealed cut, right? It was he just hit his head really hard on the floor. Yeah. And the fact they had like doctors running out to it and like they had to keep like messing with it during the match, and it was like I've seen pictures of it since, like the stitches on it. It's a horrific cut.
Yeah.
Now I said to you, I think we saw him jump over, but within 2 seconds I said to you, "Oh, he's bleeding." Because I think I saw it first. I saw it on his arm, right, where he was leading. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's a lot of blood." And when we saw this like clean camera shot of it, and it is just all over his face. It looked, again, to go back to the UFC match, it looked a lot like the Diaz injury they had to stop the fight for. Right, it's just this huge split above your eye.
Well, that's the problem because those cuts just always have loads of blood in general.
Yes. Now I am, as Josh knows, not against blood in wrestling. I really don't mind it. I don't want it a lot, but like I'm fine with it. But what I don't necessarily like is unplanned blood or blood that is like extremely severe when it's not meant to be. So the easy example I can think of is the infamous Eddie Guerrero blade, right? Yeah. I think I'm not sure if it was in the Texas Bull rope match or not. It was in that feud with JBL. But he goes to blade his forehead, he cuts too deep and hits an artery, I think. Yeah. And I struggle to watch it. There's so much blood. It's that sort of stuff I'm uncomfortable with. And this didn't quite get to that level, but I didn't like the fact that I knew this wasn't an intentional thing. This was very much an accident. And it's interesting that he kind of played around it, right? Again, it's not played, sorry, wrestled around it. And it's evidence of good wrestlers, right? Because Jericho started targeting it. Yeah. Again, Cody's mum just stared it down.
I mean, to be fair, I think considering who his dad is, I'm not 100% surprised. But she could have looked a little bit more distressed that her son's got this massive gash on his face.
It's notable after this point. This is the turn in the match, right? I think Cody, I wouldn't say he was dominant before this, but after this, Jericho was 100% not carrying.
Yeah, but Jericho's in the driving seat because obviously Cody's just had this horrible injury happen to him.
And we also, quite shortly after this, once the doctors around and check the wound and everything, that he's all right, he carries on. Much to Cody's credit, he's sitting there going, I'm fine. And I'm looking at him going, you're not fine? I don't want to stop the match, but don't say you're fine. That's a stretch. Yeah. And we get one of my favourite spots from this match. A little bit, like a couple of minutes of them scrapping around. Again, Jericho's targeting the cut, and they end up on the outside again. And Jericho goes up to Cody's mum and starts shouting at her and arguing with her. And she just slaps him.
Just slaps him in the face.
Not once, but twice. Because she hits him the first time, and Cody runs up and tackles him, and they're both laying on the barrier. And she leans over the front of the barrier and just whacks him. What looks to me in the eye.
Yeah, I think the first one was obviously planned, but I think the second one she went, yeah.
I guess she just got excited. She got overly excited. She went for it. Yeah, this is also when we got the Alabama Slammer moment. And again, I've got it written in my notes of what did Bob Holly used to call that move. Now, for the record, I don't even know what it's called if it's not called an Alabama. Josh, take over for a second. I'm going to look up what an Alabama Slammer is actually called. Take us through what happened next.
Yeah, so we've got, I think it was that Alabama Slammer spot, and then more wrestling happens with Jericho coming out on top. And then there's, as soon as Cody starts to get momentum back, there's interference from Hager. Now, I think it happens twice. The first time the ref doesn't see it, but the second time the ref does see it and sends Hager to the back. Essentially, banning him from the match because he's interfered. No DQ for Jericho, which, I guess, banning your cornerman from the match is also probably bad enough.
Well, again, as well, it's where they have kept playing on this idea. It's called a double leg slam, by the way.
Okay,
fun.
Sure.
As a random bit of wrestling knowledge for people, because I had no idea. They've been quite clear in AEW that there is ref's discretion, right? Because, again, at some point in this match as well, I don't know if it's before or after this, Jericho's pulled off his weight belt, right, and starts using it as a weapon. I think it's later on. I think it's after this.
Starts whipping it. And I'm like...
Now, I wouldn't have been annoyed if she just ignored it. She took it off him, and I don't think it was... I think the argument would be from the ref, it's not a big enough thing to cancel a title match, especially with what's riding on the line. I think that probably would have been the key factor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they eject Hager, who takes it out on MJF, if you remember rightly, right? He just starts beating up MJF.
Well, that's my favourite bit. MJF comes round, Hager starts going, hey, goodbye, starts chatting at him. Hager just looks at him and he's like, well, I'm not cancelled from beating you up.
Exactly right. I loved that. Because the meme for me and Josh has been that Jack Hager is Simple Jack. In my head, he's not quite all that. This character's not all that. So he's the muscle to this group. He's I'll beat you up then. And he starts beating him and just oh God, no. Oh, damn it.
It was like, yeah.
Now we also get right after. I think after all this happens, right, we get this not a distraction, but it kind of catches Jericho off guard, and Jericho gets hit by a crossroads, right? This is the first, but not the last near fall of this match.
Oh yeah,
there's loads of them after this. It just starts happening over and over again. It starts happening a lot. But then we start that. So again, we get some back and forth, a couple of near falls, and then what happens? I want you to walk us through this last little bit.
So previously in the match, Jericho's put on the walls of Jericho, right? And Cody's got to the ropes, got out of it, used various different ways to get out of the submission. Yeah. And then he gets the Lion Tamer, which is...
for the record, I've said it before and I'll say it again, I love that move.
Yeah, it is good.
It was a deep Lion Tamer too, because usually he puts the knee in, right? He'll stick the knee in your back. This one, he was basically sitting down in the Boston Crab position, but like with his like butt above your head.
He had his knee like almost on his head to like press his face into the mat or whatever. Great. And this is where we found out that cornermen can throw in the towel.
Which I guess we should have known, because that's what cornermen do in boxing, right?
Yeah, so MJF's there. And
we saw him, right? So here's the thing. I remember saying to you, we were watching it, and I saw him in the background with a towel. And I pointed out, I was like, hang on a minute, why's he got a towel?
No.
At this point, I wasn't entirely sure, because it could have just been a character. Like they could have teased her. He'd been like, do I throw it to save my brother? You could have seen Cody like waving him off, like, no, man, I'm fine, don't do it. But he throws the fucking towel in.
There's towel in.
The towel lands right in it's a great camera shot. The towel just lands there.
Yeah.
And I think it took the audience, like me and you, a couple of seconds, right? Like
wait.
I was like, hang on a minute.
Because they ring the bell, like the ref just points and rings the bell, and you're like, wait, he's thrown he's given. Okay.
It was great. I love this.
It was a really good way to end this match and not have Cody tap.
Yeah. I don't think it would hurt Cody to tap out either, but I do think it gives him a lot of potential stories now, right?
Yeah.
And then we get probably the most dramatic moment of the night in terms of like character work, not in terms of wrestling. Yeah. We'll get to that. MJF's in the ring. He's kind of groveling to Cody. Cody's like walking around the ring. He's saying, "I didn't give up. I didn't tap. Like, why is this over? Why is the match?" He didn't quite understand what had happened until like MJF's like, "I'm really sorry, man. Like, I thought that was it. I didn't want to see like the story being like it looked like MJF didn't want to see his friend struggle anymore. He was sick of seeing him in too much pain, right?" And Cody helps him up. He helps him up. He picks his friend up. Says, "It's all right. It's okay." Cody turns around to look at the crowd. He's looking up at the audience, Josh. He's saying, "I'm sorry." And then MJF just kicks him in the dick.
He low blows him
from behind.
Everyone pops off. Everyone goes nuts.
I don't think I've shouted in person as loudly as this my arms. I was so happy.
You were very excited. You were getting the crowd excited.
Like, not only do I love MJF, I think the implications for this are huge. So we were talking about this earlier when I said earlier on that I think there's a wild card being thrown into like the title scene here. Yeah. I would not be surprised if MJF ends up getting to challenge for the title now.
Totally.
Because Cody's like, well, you screwed me out of it. Screw it. Go on then.
Yeah.
Go get beaten up yourself, right? And then maybe Cody fucks him over, right? Like this sort of idea.
Well, that's the thing. I also, I've thought about it since, and I think the angle could well be, okay, so you want this championship shot. You want this shot at Jericho. Okay, well, you've got it. And the Inner Circle, you get to experience what it's like to tangle with the Inner Circle when you're just one guy.
Yeah.
Like, Cody's part of the Elite. He's got all this backup, right? He's got Kenny Omega. He's got the Young Bucks. He's got his brother. He's got all these people. But now all Jericho has to focus on is MJF. Exactly.
Because I think the story, I think you said this to me the other night as well. The story is going to be... Well, what I'd imagine he's going to say is, I've been in Jericho's shadow for the last 5 weeks, or for however long they want to say it, right?
Cody's shadow.
Sorry, yeah, I've been in Cody's shadow for X amount of time, right? I haven't been, because he's only had one match?
I think he's had one match. Yeah.
He's like, I haven't really been wrestling. I've just been protecting him, and then this happens. Or you could always go with the storyline that maybe the Inner Circle got to him, right? Maybe they bought him off.
I don't know where it's going in terms of whether he's being an independent heel, whether he's do this to side with Jericho.
MJF doesn't feel like the sort of character that would merge into a group with another person like him that is Jericho. MJF's too mouthy, right? He works when he's in a group of faces because he can kind of play that best friend role, right? They played that up a lot. But at the point where he's got to be the cocky, arrogant, beautiful son of a bitch that MJF is the best at being, I think he might clash with Jericho. But that's not to say it couldn't work. They're both so good. Yeah. They could 100% do it.
Well, that's the thing. He just makes up for Hager, right? Where Hager's silent.
Exactly, right. Yeah. This was where I won the predictions, for the record.
Yeah, this was as soon as MJF came out, man. I was.
I love it. What do you think is going to happen with Cody? Now that he can't challenge for the belt?
I'm not sure if this is a loophole or not.
Yes, so we said this in our predictions, right? I think the way I phrased it was, is this an issue of not winning or if he loses? Right?
Like, losing clean, right?
Yeah. Then again, I suppose this does just count as a loss. If you have Ringman there, if they can throw the towel in, that is a legitimate loss, right?
But it's whether, I think if MJF ends up siding with the Inner Circle, they might try and play it up.
Yes, exactly. That would be the way you could do it. Like, if MJF had planned to screw you over from the start, it's not really fair that he could throw in the towel for you, is it? I'd like to see him out of the title picture for a while. I think I said this before. I love Cody. I think he's great. I don't want him in the title picture for now. There's too many people that I want to see fighting for it. I'm not even sure I want Jericho in it for too long.
That's the thing as well. I don't know who's going to take the title off Jericho at this point, and B, I don't know what Jericho looks like going for the championship.
Yeah, exactly. As a chaser, I don't know what he's going to be like. We'll see though, right? Maybe he'll take again, as I said on the prediction, he's lined up for some stuff in Japan soon, so maybe he'll take a little bit of a break from AEW. But then maybe MJF will take over the leadership of the Inner Circle.
That'd be crazy.
Maybe he's put in charge temporarily by Jericho while Jericho goes off and does Japan stuff, right? Japan? Don't know what I said like that.
Japan.
There's a lot of ways they could do this, and it's really nice to me. It's refreshing that I have no idea.
Yeah, totally.
I really just don't know what to. Oh, there's also.
That's the thing is.
Go on, sir. Go on.
It was because we haven't got precedent for any of this thing yet.
Yeah.
For any of these kind of scenarios, like we know how it kind of plays out in WWE.
We know how their math tends to work.
Yeah,
it doesn't usually add up. That's the problem.
Wow.
We had a great moment at the end of this as well, as MJF was. Now the crowd hated this. By the way, they were loud, but they were booing.
Yeah.
This was real heel heat. Again, refreshing.
Yeah, this was actually legitimate heel heat.
And as MJF is walking up to the right, he's smirking. He's like, "Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, boo me." And then he turns around and this bloody beer gets thrown at him from off camera. And it's from the audience, right? Someone's just like hurled a beer at him and thrown the glass at him. Or the plastic glass, obviously. And it's a great shot by whoever this plant was. And it was a plant. Whoever this was. Damn good shot. Because it wasn't a short throw, right? It was like a good kind of, I don't know, 15, 20 feet, it sort of looked like.
Yeah.
And he nailed it. Again, amazing camera shot. MJF's covered in this beer. Security run up to this guy, which made me and you a little bit confused as to whether it was a plant first. It was a little detailed. They did really well.
Yeah, totally. They paid very close attention to detail on that
one. Credit to Cultaholic for saying this. I'm not going to claim I thought of this myself, but it is an interesting precedent for them to set. I think. Oh no, wait, I'm not sure if it actually was Cultaholic. Maybe I'm misattributing. It might have been on Reddit. I don't know. It's not my idea. That's my point, right? I'm not the one that thought of this. Sure. It's almost a dangerous precedent to set because this used to be a WCW thing of people throwing rubbish at the wrestlers. Now, I kind of love it. I love this audience interaction. Like, if it's a heel, you throw stuff at him because he's a heel. There's the famous one of Jericho just standing in the middle of the ring and everyone's just hurling trash at him.
But the other one was glow sticks as well, right? They gave everyone glow sticks.
But I don't know if it's a dangerous game to play in, like, 2019. I don't know if you want to encourage it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's enough like goodwill towards the people in AEW in general.
100%, yeah.
They'll kind of just do whatever they tell them to do. They're like, hey, don't throw shit at our wrestlers. They'll be like, okay, cool.
I mean, the audience has changed as well in general. I don't think people want to, but it is an interesting line to toe, right? But yeah, any last comments about this match? We've gone on quite a while about this one, but
Yeah, it got a pop out of me as well, and I really want to see where MJF goes. Because he's one of the best talkers they've got.
Him and Pac are my two favourite people in this company, I think. It's really hard for me to say that. It changes weekly. But right now, they are two of my favourites in this company.
The thing is, he's obviously got the wits for it, right? He's got the gift of the gab and the back and forth and stuff.
Look, man,
but it's just he's got to prove it now.
Josh said this during the predictions, but if you haven't seen it, go and watch like some of the backstage interviews he's had with like when he's had all the interview, all of the press around him. They're just shooting questions at him, and he handles it like a pro. Like he is a pro, obviously, but it's amazing. It's great to watch. And I've seen matches with him before. I know you haven't. I think that maybe that one. He's a great wrestler. He's a very traditional sort of heel wrestler. Totally. He's not doing crazy flippy stuff, but he's. We should watch some. I'll get some matches so we can watch them. We'll have a beer and watch.
But that's the thing. You haven't got to be the crazy technical wrestler. Like Hangman isn't really. I like Hangman.
Well, you brought this up actually in terms of Jericho, right? Jericho, look, man, Jericho used to be one of the best. Right, sorry, slight side note. This is a bit when it comes. There were 3 judges ringside, right?
Oh Christ, yeah, we forgot about this.
Now, if it went to the time limit, the judges would make a decision. Now, who thought it was a good idea to put Dean Malenko, of all people, in a match judging against Jericho?
Well, for Cody against Jericho.
Yeah, like the Muta was. Who was the other one? It was Muta, Malenko, and who was it?
I can't remember for the life of me.
I know it was someone else that did not like Jericho. In kayfabe, I'm sure IRL they love each other, but Malenko and Jericho have this is the root of the one of the most famous and best wrestling the Man of 1,001 Holds, or whatever it is, where he just has this giant list, right? Weird decision. Thankfully, it didn't go to the judges. I'm not quite sure I like the fact that judges can. I don't know if I don't know if I want to play into that because it's one of the biggest problems with UFC and boxing, right? Judges' decisions suck. Don't you think? Like,
yeah, I agree totally. It's just a really good way to take the heat out of the end of a match. I think if it goes to a decision and like you're like, oh well,
have it be a draw, man. Draws are fine. Draws can be tense.
Which, to be fair, they've done in AEW before.
They have.
I think they were always planning for this match to end, though, right? I think it was more set.
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Right. So now we've got that match out of the way, which, again, amazing character match. Let's talk about the most controversial match of this evening.
Yeah, so the next match, and I don't know if this is termed as the main event.
No, the last match was the main event.
So
they were very clear in saying the title was the main event. This is like an unsanctioned dark match at the end of the card.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into this, you'd never seen a Moxley hardcore match, right?
No, not properly. I'd seen some of the. I knew that it was going to be some of the highlights.
Right.
I've seen him bleeding a lot.
Sure.
Basically, the long and short of that. I think.
Go on.
I think rather than talking about like individual spots, I think we should just for this kind of stipulation, we should maybe just go over the weapons.
Yeah, so
maybe break it down by what was used.
So as a general thing, there wasn't much clean wrestling in this match. So when we say we're not going to go over spots, it's not because we're skipping. There's some cool ones at the end. I'll bring those up.
Yeah.
But this was a hardcore match.
Yeah.
Kind of a pure one almost. It was basically everything involved a weapon past the first couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Like, for example, immediately I think Moxley manages to take down Kenny and he rolls outside and grabs a bin. Now, I don't like bins. I think I said it when we were watching it. I think it's a boring wrestling weapon.
It's the weapon used in the best finisher in the world. The Coast to Coast.
Oh, God. Look, man, at least call it the Van Daminator. The better version of that move.
Wow, okay.
One of those two can hit it properly.
One of those two is the best wrestler in the world. I don't know what you're talking about.
And the other one calls himself the best wrestler in the world. Wait, shots fired. So yeah, we start with the bin, right? Well, like you say, let's work our way through the weapons here.
So first one's bins.
There wasn't huge stuff to do with the bin, right? I think the biggest spot with it was double foot stomp. He did the big jump from the top rope onto the bin. Missed it.
Yeah. Well, also later on, this is later on in the match, but we'll go through it by weapons rather than chronology.
Yeah.
Omega puts the bin on a ring post over one of the cameras, gets up onto the top rope with Moxley on the floor, takes the bin off and does a moonsault.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. So when he misses it slightly, he doesn't quite hit him with the bin.
Doesn't quite catch all of it.
Doesn't get all of it, no. Still looks great, because I remember thinking, so he went up, he put the ring post on the corner, and I think I said to you, I was like, what's he doing? And he's climbing up, I was like, is he going to moonsault? And then he takes off, and he kind of looks at the camera and does sort of like, well, why not? Right, this sort of little shrug. Yeah. I was like, okay, yeah, he is. And he just does against Kenny Omega, right? Hits a beautiful moonsault. Yeah. The next weapons are probably the ones that get the first real blood going here. Surprisingly quickly.
That everyone goes, oh god, alright, they're actually... And it's the weapons they've been hyping up, right? It's the bat, the barbed wire bat, the barbed wire broom.
The bat comes out first, and I think you asked me, you were like, do you reckon it's real barbed wire? And then basically as soon as you said it, Kenny gets hit around the back with it, right? And there's just blood everywhere, almost immediately. Like, okay, I guess it's real blood.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Again, so he takes this bat to Kenny's back. Kenny ends up I think Kenny counters and gets the outside, right? And he brings out
the broom,
the barbed wire broom, which I maintain is a dumb weapon, but apparently it works. Oh, he sets up a table. We should note that there is a table now in play on the outside of the ring. It's like wedged up against the barrier. That'll come in later on. I'm bringing it up because that's a weapon that is in play at this point. We get some cool stuff with these barbed wire weapons. Again, if we're going to go through it by weapon, not chronologically, we get go on.
Sorry, yeah, we get the shots to the back, which both competitors take.
There's a brutal one with the first time that we see the broom get used is Moxie's going for like a suicide dive right through the ropes. And he gets whacked around the face by back of the head or something, like by the broom. And again, blood everywhere from the top of the back of his head and down the back of his neck. Yep. Again, I loved it.
Then we get another spot where like Kenny's got him sat down, his legs over his arms over his knees, and then like is dragging the barbed wire like across the forehead of Moxley, and it's like, ooh.
Again, knowing it's real barbed wire at this point, you're sitting there cringing. There is another barbed wire spot later, but we will say
there
that
is.
One.
But like, my favourite chants were "You sick fuck."
Yeah.
You sick fuck. The crowd was like
accurate.
Super into this match, but for all the wrong reasons. It was like a freak show, right? They were like, oh my god.
One of the things I think I said on the prediction show was that I'm curious if Kenny can keep up with this sort of match, because Kenny's an amazing wrestler, but this is Moxie's home turf, though, right?
Yeah.
And he did. I was really impressed.
Turns out, he did.
Turns out one of the best technical wrestlers in the world can, funnily enough, do a hardcore match.
Yeah.
Now after we've got the barbed wire bats and we've done some barbed wire shenanigans, this is where shit starts getting really weird. So I was saying to John, every time they went under the ring, I was like, give me thumbtacks. And then I went one time, they pulled up the side of the ring and I saw like a mousetrap. I was like, oh, that's weird. Is he going to like pull up a mousetrap, like do a finger thing or something?
One mousetrap.
That's what I thought, right? Because God forbid, you wouldn't think there's like, I don't know, a giant table with mouse traps glued to it. Or like a plank of wood, sorry. I don't know how to describe it.
It was like, a big
just
piece of wood with a board with, it was probably like what, 6 feet by 6 feet or something like that.
Bigger than that, I think. It was like, give or take. It was a big ass fucking sheet of board.
Yeah, and like they just had mousetraps like glued to it.
20, 30 mousetraps.
Loaded mousetraps.
And in retrospect, I love the idea.
I
love the idea that someone backstage before us had gone, all right, what? Oh, boys, get the mousetrap. Get me that bit of wood and get me those mousetraps. Some super glue and give me 10 minutes. And again, Moxley picked up the thing, like, I can imagine in kayfabe, he goes, That's weird. That doesn't belong under a wrestling ring.
It's my favourite bit. I was thinking, like, that in retrospect, that's super smart, because the problem with mousetrap spots a lot of the time is that you get, power bombed or, like, thrown onto it or whatever, and then you've got to wander around with mousetraps on you for the next, like, 5 minutes. Yeah. You don't get time to, like, pick them all off or whatever, and they go all over the place and things like that. So gluing them onto the board was actually a good bit of pre-planning, right?
Who was it that ends up going? It was Moxley that lands on the board, right? I think Moxley ended up.
No, I think it was Kenny first.
Only one of them went on the board because he set up all the traps.
I'm pretty sure it was Kenny, because they set up for Moxley to go on. I think.
Okay. Either way.
Yeah.
We get one big spot on the board, and then obviously the board's spent because that's how mousetraps work.
Mousetraps.
It's not like Moxley was going to sit there resetting all these mousetraps.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You wait right there, Kenny.
Then we get probably the most boring weapon of the match, or at least I think in how it was used. I don't think it was particularly exciting. We got a big chain.
Get a big gold chain.
Big old chain, right? We get I think there's a spine buster and like a sidewalk slam onto it.
Yeah, onto it.
Which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure was really painful.
Yeah,
but it's not particularly interesting. I think you suggested there was one cool spot where Moxley had it like through Kenny's teeth, right? Like he was like doing like a camel sort of clutch with it, which not to again. I'm going to reference WWE. This was a spot that Rusev did to John Cena a few years ago, I believe.
Yeah,
looked better here, but
as well the other ways they used the chain was that Kenny ends up wrapping it.
Oh yeah, he hung him with it, sort of.
He ended up wrapping it around Moxley's neck and like putting him over the ropes and like having him dangle from his neck by this chain, and it looked savage. It was a little bit clumsy to do, obviously, because it's just really difficult to get that kind of thing without a lot of like preparation time. Yeah, especially safely. But just crazy. Just another point of brutality in this match, right? Like,
then came my favorite weapon.
Man. This is the one that got me. This is really the one that got me.
Again, this is where my old roots of like watching hardcore wrestling. This is where I was not immune to it, but this is where like I could see you like starting to like not cringe a bit, but you're like, oh no. And I was like, it's like that gif. It's the reaction of like I think some guys on Survivor, right, where it's like they're all like, ugh! And the one at the back just like grinning. He's like, yes. That was what we were like. That was what I was like watching this match. So Kenny goes under the ring and he pulls out like a black bag, and I again. At this point, I'm like, yeah, thumbtacks! Woo, give me thumbtacks!
Yeah, I thought it was thumbtacks as well. I was like, oh, okay.
And then he pulled like a shard of glass. And commentary, like, this is a shard of glass from the table that Kenny was put through by Moxley. And he like scrapes Kenny or Moxley with it first, right? He like tries to cut him with it. And then he puts it on the back, it's like a shard of glass, I don't know, about the size of my hand, right? Kind of pretty big shards. And he puts it back and forth. He starts like stamping on it and crushing it up, and then he sprinkles this like shattered glass all into like a pile in the ring. Now I used to work with glass, right, at a previous job, and I know how. Now don't get me wrong, I'm sure this wasn't the like normal glass. It's probably somewhat safety glass, but we'll get to it not being that safe clearly. But I know how horrible glass is to work with on your hands, and it gets everywhere. And like when it breaks, you get like glass splinters, right? This sort of stuff. And he just pours this glass, and it's powdered, right? It's super fine, and there's like some chunks in it, and it looks horrible. And I think almost immediately, who is it gets slammed into it first? Because they both go into this multiple times.
Moxley does it first because he gets it all in his back, and he gets slammed into it on his back, and immediately pops up, and you shards of glass on his back, and
like shards. They both end up getting put into it a couple of times.
Also worth mentioning, the ref ends up having to count on it at one point.
This ref's dumb, man. God damn, boy. I respect it.
This ref is all about refereeing this match. He doesn't care what's on the fucking floor. He doesn't care what's happening. He's like, I need to count this.
It's worth knowing that the refs all the way through this match, when they were counting, were really going for it. They were like slamming the hell out of the ring. I noticed it early on. I think I said it to you. He was like nailing this glass. Every time he did it after, you could see him like going, my hand. I'm like, stop cutting off the glass. But I said earlier on that there was like that this match was like, I think I said it anyway. There's one of my favorite character spots of this entire pay-per-view was in this match, which is not something you expect from a hardcore match. It's also the reason I would defend this match, I think, because it was a really good character piece.
Yeah.
Again, not usually what you get from hardcore matches. Was so the glass is in the ring, right? Omega gets a hold of Moxley and puts him in a sharpshooter, and he drags him like kind of over the glass, but he's like so. Omega's right in front of a rope, right? So Moxley is as far away from the other side of the ring as he can get. And Moxley tries to get out of it a few times, but he can't kind of get out of it. And he realizes that he has to crawl through all of this broken glass to get to the rope.
It's like a fucking Saw moment, man. It's like, you want to play a
game?
It
is, yeah. But it's like this, again, I think it's such a good character moment where it's like, it shows that Moxley just doesn't care. Right, he's not losing. He'll like literally. It's what people say. I'll crawl through broken glass. Right.
Yep. Oh, literally.
And again, his hands like bleeding. He's crawling through it, and he falls down chest first on it at one point. And his face is in it at one point.
Yep.
And he manages to reach this rope on the other side and breaks his hold. But I loved that moment. I thought it was awesome.
As well, there was another moment with the glass, and I'm not how legit, but I think Moxley's mouth ended up bleeding, but Kenny Omega...
Oh, yeah.
He gets, like, 2 handfuls of glass. He, like, picks up the glass in his hands, which is obviously painful to start with. And then he, like, gets Moxley's head back and, like, starts trying to feed him this glass. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, guys. I'm like, you're not actually trying to kill him. This is a fucking wrestling match, dude. Calm down.
Say,
right? Like, actually make him swallow glass. Jesus Christ.
So the glass it comes into play. There's a lot of, like, for the rest of the match, right? It comes up every now and then. Someone ends up getting slammed into it, and the problem is, as I said at the time, the really big issue with glass, and the reason I think one of the reasons this went on last, was that once glass is down, look, man, it spreads out. Every time someone gets hit on the ring really hard, the ring bounces a little bit, and the glass spreads, so it's all over the ring by the end of it. But we get probably the most absurd weapon next, right, Josh? Would you like to take us through this sequence of events?
Oh, man. So they brawl up the ramp, right? Once, I think it was like after Moxley breaks this sharpshooter, he rolls to the outside. He's like trying to crawl up the ramp.
There was the moment with like the weird ice picky thing as well, but nothing really came from that.
Nothing really comes of that. Like, the ice pick is used, it's like jammed into the top of a turnbuckle at one point. And then Kenny kind of like scratches Moxley's head.
Yeah, well, the reason I bring it up now is because he pulls it out, and when he sees Moxley crawling up the ramp, he takes out the turnbuckle, walks up behind him, like kind of rams into his head a little bit, but it doesn't really do much. It doesn't look a bit gnarly, but sorry, carry on.
Yeah. No. And then so Moxley's crawling up the ramp. Omega comes to meet him, does this spot with the I assume it was an ice pick. You said it might have been an actual woodworking thing.
Yeah, so I've used this tool when I was at this old job I used to work with glass. I used to use it for like making holes in wood, right, for screw spots or markers and stuff like that. It looks like an ice pick. It's like a screwdriver handle with like an ice pick end on it.
Yeah. So he does that spot with them, and then they end up breaking up, right? And the Young Bucks come out. And Hangman Page comes out, and they're both like, and they're all talking to Kenny. They're like, Kenny, man. I thought at the time, like, without the retrospect of what happens next, I thought at the time they were like, look, man, this doesn't count. This isn't like a match.
Exactly, that's what I thought.
You don't have to win this match.
They're like, this is way too crazy for like something that doesn't matter. Just stop. It's over, man. This is enough.
Yeah.
You see Kenny like wave off, and go like, I think he goes like, go get it.
No. He says like, no, I have to. He's like, I have to. so the Young Bucks and Adam Page leave, and I thought that was it. I thought they were just like, okay, we're done. However this match ends, whatever. No, they just come back, and they've got what I can only describe as like a bed of barbed wire, like a suspended metal bed of barbed wire. So it's like metal bars to form like a square, right?
Imagine like a trampoline.
Sure, except
made of barbed wire.
Instead of nice stretchy elastic, you've got loads of barbed wire.
Because it's raised maybe, I don't know, 2-3 feet off the floor. maybe 6 feet squared sort of like thing.
Yeah, this big and essentially
for the
Kenny...
record, again, I love the fact that Kenny, the kayfabe idea that Kenny backstage, like, right guys, this is what we need to build.
Young Bucks, can you make this bed of barbed wire, you absolute mentalists? Like, so they both end up going through it. It's a suplex, right?
Moxley suplexes both of them into it, right?
Yeah, they end up being suplexed into the barbed wire, and then the next few minutes of the match are just them trying to... Of just, like, the Young Bucks, Adam Page, and, like, a series of officials trying to essentially get these two out of this, like, nest of... Because there's no bottom to it. And they don't touch the floor.
Credit to
like, they're
Moxley.
Still suspended.
He kind of just climbs out of it.
Man, he's fucking crazy. He's fucking insane. Like...
It was great.
Yeah, so they end up getting out. They end up getting out of here, and they're still going. They just like.
I thought that was
it.
I almost thought that was going to be like the ref stoppage. They're like, no, we're done. They're both trapped in literally a net of barbed wire that they just got thrown onto off the ramp. But that's not even almost the end of this match.
Nope.
So we get like a little more strap on the outside, and we get like a V trigger through one of the displays, right? I don't know what to call it. It's like kind of a wooden display, a plexiglass display.
Yeah, it was like a lighting bit.
In any other match, this would have been like quite a hardcore like spot.
It was so normal.
Yeah, here this was like
yeah,
I was like, okay, sure, fine. This is your break spot, I guess. Your rest hold. They end up fighting back to the ring, and this is where this gets not really interesting, but this I love this. This is the last third of this match, right? And there's less weapons at play here because the ring itself starts getting pulled apart. I think Moxley grabs like a box cutter from under the ring.
Yeah,
and he starts cutting the cable ties that are holding the canvas on. It took me a little while to figure out what was happening, but he's walking around. He's cutting a lot of these cable ties. And he ends up peeling back, I don't know, about half the ring. Moxley's like, not Moxley, Omega's like, I don't know what happened. I can't remember exactly what happened to him. He got incapacitated. Moxley did something to him. And he then starts peeling back the foam padding on the ring, which is about, for those who've never seen, I can imagine this is really interesting, actually. I think JR even says it, right? If you've never seen like the assembly of a wrestling ring, this must be quite fascinating to see, right? Because it's literally canvas, about an inch of like foam, which sounds like quite a lot when you imagine like an inch, but when you look at it, it's really not much when you consider what's happening.
You're and then slamming yourself into it over and over. Yeah.
And then directly under that is just wood. It's really not that complex. It really is just wood and like a canvas and a tiny bit of padding. And he strips back all this foam as well, right? So it's just bare wood. And this is where the last part of this match starts like taking place, right? We've got... I can't remember the order that things happen here, honestly. I remember there was a crazy 450 splash.
Yeah. So I think it was Kenny.
Was it a Phoenix splash? I think it might have been a Phoenix splash.
Sure, but Kenny ends up doing a splash onto nothing because he gets
onto wood.
Onto wood.
Now look, man, doing it onto like the ring hurts. Like that makes me cringe enough. But onto like what looks like it looks like quite a hard wood. I used to work I used to work with wood.
Of course you did that.
Wow, watch it. But I can't tell what it is. I'm not a carpenter.
Well, no, but it's wood, right?
It doesn't look like a soft wood. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And he does. I read. Someone said on Reddit. I'm not usually going to quote Reddit because Squared Circle can be a little bit hit and miss sometimes. I love you guys if you're watching this, but come on now, sort it out. But someone was like, they saw Kenny go up and they were like, I've never seen. They were saying I've never seen Kenny do like crazy top rope stuff. I've seen him do like kind of moonsaults and shooting stars stuff like this. And he's like, maybe he's gonna pull out like some super rare move, right? And he's like, maybe he'll do like I don't know, like a double shooting star or something. I don't remember exactly what he said. He was like, and then suddenly he pulls out probably one of the most prestigious moves, like aerial moves in the business. That is the Phoenix Splash, right? This crazy like 450 splash sort of thing. And he just eats it.
really hard as well.
Flat onto some wood. Moxley rolls out of the way. And again, I think Moxley does Moxley go straight into the paradigm shift?
Well, no, they use each other's finishers.
They do. You're right.
Yeah.
This is what I mean. I've kind of forgotten the exact order of all this.
It was so crazy at the time that I just honestly my notes end here because I can't remember the exact order.
So I think Omega does it first, right? He hits him with the dirty deeds. Sorry.
The paradigm shift.
The double underhook DDT.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the best. It wasn't his move, so of course it's not going to be the most.
Sure, but it's a DDT.
I like spots where people use each other's finishes. I like that it looks desperate. It looks really cool. I know, obviously, Omega did it with Okada, I believe, as well. I believe they started using each other's finishes. Did Moxley use a V-trigger or something?
No, I think he used. If memory serves me, because I haven't got it written down, I think it was a one danger. Okay. I'm not 100%.
Again, admittedly, the last couple minutes of this match are a blur to me because I was so hyped.
I was so flabbergasted by the rest.
It's not a blur because I wasn't paying. It's a blur because I was paying too much. I was just staring at it, not taking notes. I know that the match ends. So we have this 450 splash happens, and we have a paradigm shift onto the exposed ring, and that's it. He's out. It's just done right there. And I would have been annoyed if that wasn't it. Because it's established that hitting any big slam onto a concrete or wooden surface in wrestling is it's game over.
The damage modifier is too much.
Yes, the damage multiplier for an uncovered ring is off the chart. And you've got there's a multiplier for the apron of a ring, right? That's maybe a 3 or 4 times damage multiplier, right? If you're holding a weapon in your hand when you hit a move, that's like a 2 or a 3. If Cena does a move, that's a flat 5 times damage multiplier. It's just how it works, right? But a wood floor, that's it must be at least a 10 times. You take 10 times the damage.
Is it more or less than the uncovered outside of the ring? Because it takes more setup, but it's technically wood versus concrete.
I think concrete's probably worse, but you can't pin someone on the concrete, so there's an equalizing balance factor, right?
This is such a dumb conversation. Right.
Concrete's harder, but you can't pin them on it. So you have to hit them with the damage, and then you have to give them the time to recover that he's putting them into the ring.
To roll them in, yeah.
Right? Whereas this, he just hits it and pins them. And again, the ref on bare wood is fucking going for it.
Boom, boom.
And again, after, you can see him going, ah!
Yeah, just I've got my hand. I got glass in it earlier. That didn't. Oh, but no, this is legitimately one of my favorite matches of the year in terms of spectacle. Not say what you want about the actual wrestling in it, which was super solid, but it wasn't much of a wrestling match.
Yeah,
right?
For sure, 100%.
But oh Jesus,
what was your match of the night, Josh? Because that's a really hard question for this.
For me, it's got to be. I know there's controversy around it. It's got to be Moxley Omega. It's such not only a spectacle, but you will not see another match like that on a big pay-per-view for a long time.
Yeah.
Mostly because, from what I've been reading, it really injured both of the wrestlers involved.
Of course, watching it, I could have told you that, right?
Yeah,
I like to think this is them saying so we obviously again WWE have extreme rules and stuff. I like this is AEW setting the standard they are willing to have extreme matches. How often it happens is totally different. I don't think it'll be often, right? But this is said we're willing to do this sort of stuff. I don't know how often I want to see it either.
I don't want to see this level super often. I don't mind a bit of weapon, whatever shots, but this level of glass, barbed wire, fucking all this other stuff that actually does cause a lot of harm.
I'm happy they had the balls to follow through with it, because that was the risk here, right? You've got these two guys who will claim they're gonna kill each other, and Moxley's saying, in the lead up, he's like, "You're responsible for what I do to him now. I'm gonna kill your boy, and it's your fault," right? That sort of stuff. So they had to do this, and I like they didn't chicken out of it. Moxley was never going to, and I don't think Kenny was going to chicken out. But again, as I said, I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to like keep up with this level of violence.
Well, I also wasn't sure how protected he was in terms of like him having to wrestle soon or be.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't make, or if he's not going to wrestle for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if him and
I think both of them.
Moxley,
I think both of them are going to be off for a while.
I don't think they'll be. I'm not pretty sure. I'm not pretty sure with like one. I'm pretty sure with a sling and like limping and with bandages all over them right on Wednesday. But yeah, it was great. I think I struggle with match of the night here because there's 3 candidates for me. For totally different reasons.
Yeah.
Riho, I think, was probably my favourite conventional, straight, technical wrestling match. I loved that match.
Yeah, I got no problems with that being match of the night as well. Like,
Cody Jericho was probably my match of the night in terms of character.
That's the thing. Yeah, you've got 3 very distinct kind of...
And Moxley Kenny was my favourite for, like, not shock value, but, like, spectacle.
It is. It's insane.
I felt like I was watching Gladiators, right? I was like watching people literally just maybe kill each other. I was loving it. Didn't get thumbtacks. Now I'm thinking about it, so maybe it's not in the running.
Wow.
Give me thumbtacks.
No, used glass instead of thumbtacks. Is that not enough?
I feel thumbtacks is probably less dangerous.
Yeah, like a lot. Like by a lot.
Thumbtacks, don't worry, I think it's like more visceral because you see thumbtacks sticking out of the person, right?
Sure,
but like glasses are. I hate glass. I've worked with glass. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of these matches were great. There was not a weak match on this card. If I had to say the weakest one, it was Shawn Spears match. But again, even that on any other card, I would have said it was a really solid, good match.
That's only because it was like a 6 or 7 out of 10 in amongst a bunch of 9.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Not to give matches ratings, but just to give...
I was going to say, are we going to start doing that? Are we going to be...
No, I'm not getting into the rating matches.
How many stars out of 5?
Yeah, right. I'm not getting... Hey, man, I don't want to step on that territory.
All right, one question. Do you think any of these matches are 5 out of 5?
It depends whether you think a hardcore match can be.
Sure.
But I think that match was.
I think for a hardcore match, it's 5. If you're judging them as their own standard, right? It's a 5 out of 5 hardcore match. Again, I'm not going to play the rating games either. I'm not a wrestler. I'm not a wrestling critic. I guess we technically are at this point, but we're not really. We know very little.
We're just fucking fans, man.
We're dickheads. We're idiots who chat shit about wrestling. If you haven't gathered after this 2-hour podcast of us chatting complete shit.
Is it? Fuck.
Yeah, we won't do the discussion. We'll save the discussion for Wednesday. We were going to have like a topical discussion, but goddamn man, it's 1 hour 50. I think we should let people rest.
Sure.
We'll chat more about some maybe the ramifications of this on Wednesday, obviously, when we know what happens.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm very interested in this week's Dynamite as well. Like, not just as a shameless plug, but also because like
we'll have a new episode up on Friday, of course.
Yep, on Friday, and there'll be a lot of storyline stuff to discuss, I imagine, right?
Yes. What impressed me with this is I think it sets a standard now. Because as good as the other pay-per-views were, they had the advantage they weren't on weekly TV as well, right? They had a long space between. They had a lot of time to like kind of refresh and relax and like plot it out.
You also had a lot of time to plan and all that stuff, right?
Exactly.
You didn't have to ride on these storylines that are happening week by week, as well as separate things for the pay-per-view. And
if this is symbolic of what AEW are going to give us every week or every pay-per-view, man, this is all I'm going to watch. Yeah, man. It like honestly, if they can deliver this, everything felt huge. It felt like it was an end of pay-per-view, but it felt like, you know, the culmination of a lot of stuff. When realistically, like how long's AEW Dynamite even been going? 5, 6 weeks.
Sorry to put you on the spot like this, but it's like give or take.
So I think it's basically a year since.
I
think it's pretty much a year since their first pay-per-view, and I think 5, 6, 7 weeks, something like that for Dynamite. I should know, but it's somewhere around that sort of number. And
that's the thing. Like, it felt like this huge combination with something that actually hasn't been happening that long.
Yeah.
Like, it's 2 months of weekly shows, and it has such this big feel. In a year's time, when you've got all this rich like history and stuff, it's going to be crazy.
Yep. 10 out of 10. I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
Yep. Same.
Maybe I would have hated the pre-show. Maybe that was it. Maybe we should watch the pre-show, see if we can find something.
Oh yeah, it's totally going to swerve it round. It puts the Cody match in a whole new perspective. Yeah. When you see all
when I see how Brandy handles us. For the record, what's going on with Brandy, man?
She's a witch, man. Don't worry about it. She's like a combination of Warlock and Frankenstein. No one
You're
knows.
not wrong, but I don't. Like that doesn't answer. That doesn't answer my question.
I also have more questions.
Yeah, that doesn't help. It just makes me more confused. But yeah, amazing pay-per-view. If you haven't watched it yet, I don't know why you're listening to us chat shit about it. But go watch it.
Yeah, like if you watch one pay-per-view, the rest of the 100%.
Yeah, this one. Have you got any final comments, Josh? Any closing comments? Because I think I've rambled enough.
Yeah, I think I'm spent this week. I think I'm out of.
That was great. Again, awesome pay-per-view. We'll be back on Friday with our usual regular program resumed on Friday with our Dynamite review.
Yeah.
I'll leave you with my fancy voice telling you where you can give us all your money. Thank you for listening to this episode of One Rope Short of a Ring. You can find us on Patreon at Into the Mountains, on Twitter at MountainsPod, and on YouTube, which is Into the Mountains Media, for more content like this and our other upcoming podcasts.